All right, folks. Continuing with week 3 of the NFL, we have two unbeaten teams. Joey, we have the Atlanta Falcons versus the Detroit Lions. They're going to be
Dirty
playing
Birds.
playing in Detroit. Both teams have been pretty
Going
red
to the
hot
D.
this past season. Um, what are your predictions of this game? What are you thinking? You think Matthew Stafford can pull it out against this Falcon defense, or do you think Matt Ryan will just continue his amazing streak of throwing touchdowns with no picks?
Matt Ryan has been on an amazing streak, Steven. 22 touchdowns, 0 picks in his last 9 games. Atlanta's been red hot. Atlanta's been focused. They look much like how Golden State came out after they got stomped by Cleveland in that one year in the finals. Last year, what it is, and look very focused, okay? Atlanta looks focused. But Detroit is another team who kind of mirrors Atlanta. Matthew Stafford, much like Matt Ryan, has improved his game, cutting down on his interceptions, leading the team. Steven, they have a good running game.
Mm-hmm.
They have the rookie Jared Davis on defense, who's played very well. Golden Tate, one of the most underrated players in the league. Guy seems to keep the chains moving very well with yards after the catch. And I think their coach is a little underrated just because he's a quiet, soft-spoken guy, Jim Caldwell of the Lions.
All right.
I know that this game's in Detroit, but after much thought, and I have given it much thought, I like the Lions. I like the Falcons to beat the Lions by a field goal. I just think that Matt Ryan is playing a little bit better. Not only that, I just think that team is a little bit more well-rounded. But I think it's going to be a closer game because it is in Detroit, and Detroit is clicking. So I like Atlanta to win by a field goal. But that should be a great matchup, and both those teams should make the playoffs.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I am picking Atlanta to win this game. Just for everything you said, I do think it's going to be a close game throughout the whole game. I think Atlanta's defense is Detroit's defense. You did see them against the Giants, and the Giants' offensive line is not very good. But I still think their front, the D linemen have great push. I think that could be a problem for Matt Ryan in the beginning of the game. But I do pick Atlanta to win, probably by a field goal, not by much. It'd be very surprising if Atlanta comes out and kind of dominates Detroit, how they've kind of dominated the first 2 games, winning Chicago and then Green Bay. So that would be pretty interesting. But Joey, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What if Detroit comes out and upsets Atlanta? How would that be for the NFC North? Green Bay didn't beat Atlanta, but Detroit does beat Atlanta at home.
I think if Detroit can hold on and pull out a W against the reigning NFC champions, Atlanta Falcons, that really puts them on notice. You got to respect Detroit as a serious, a serious threat. That'd be 3-0 to start the season. Not only that, but it's who they beat and how they beat them. So I think it makes a huge statement for Detroit. I think if they do lose this game, it doesn't diminish their cachet too much like the Canelo Triple G. I think Detroit will still be relevant and very competitive this season. But I'm not going to lie. If they pull out a W, I'll be a little surprised, and I'll definitely look at them with, a lot more respect in that division when they still have Minnesota and Green Bay, 2 teams that are pretty well-rounded as well.
And then that's what I mean, Joey. It's more if Detroit can pull this off with Atlanta. Atlanta did beat Green Bay last week.
Sure
I
did.
mean, how that, would you put Detroit maybe at the top of the division? Not only by record, but the people they beat. And
right, I see what you're saying. Just by seeing who they beat.
Exactly. Could they do that against
top
Green
of the
Bay?
NFC.
Not NFC.
The division.
The division.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I
You know?
agree with that, Steven. I think if Detroit does get the win at home against Atlanta, they're at the top of the division and they deserve to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, beating the team that beat Green Bay and convincingly. Sure.
Exactly. And even thinking about it now, could they be in the top of the NFC? I mean, would you say Atlanta's maybe the top team in the NFC right now? So if they do beat Atlanta, shouldn't they be one of the top teams?
They should definitely be considered. I would
Exactly.
consider Atlanta one of the top teams in the NFC the way they looked the first 2 weeks and
Exactly.
pretty much how they looked the last 8 or 9 games. Yeah.
So it's exciting for this game. I'm very excited for this game. Another game coming up is Dallas versus Arizona.
Man, a pair of 1-1 teams, both looking to hopefully get a winning record after this Sunday. We know Arizona has had their shortcomings. They had some unfortunate events, losing David Johnson for the season or most of the season. It looks like he'll be out for. Dallas really got hit in the mouth last week, Steven. I mean, Denver just embarrassed them. They held Ezekiel Elliott to 8 yards. I mean, wow. Dak Prescott had to throw the ball 50 times.
Exactly.
And he looked very average. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he also had 2 bigs. I don't know. I think this is a statement game. I hate to say it, Dallas fans, but I don't know. I like the Birds at home. I think it's going to get started on a special teams play, Steven. I think it's going to take something like that. Special teams play, if not maybe a big interception or turnover, to spark this team and get them going. I think Arizona's a different team at home. They started off slow, but I like Bruce Arians and the coaching staff. I still have faith in that defense of theirs. It's very tough. When you got Chandler Jones playing up front, you got the Honey Badger and Pat Pete in the backfield. I like the Cards by a touchdown.
I'll be honest with you, and I hate to say this because I hate the Cowboys. Hate is a strong word, but I think it fits of how I feel with the Cowboys. I do have Dallas winning this game.
Really?
I do. And for multiple reasons why. I know you like Arizona at home, they're going to come out. I think Dallas got smacked in the mouth last week, and I think the offensive line is going to come out and really set the tone. I see them coming out and just establishing the run a lot this week. I think Ezekiel Elliott wants to prove that last week was just a fluke, and he's going to come out and try to run the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets maybe 20 to 25 touches, and I think Dak's going to want that. I think he's going to want to set the tone. That's going to help out a lot with the play-action pass, to help open up a lot of things for Dallas, and they're going to come out and I think convincingly win this game. I think they're going to come out at maybe about 10 to 14 points over Arizona. Arizona has not done anything to really impress me this year.
They have struggled.
And I think it was last week's game against Indianapolis. And not to take anything away from the Colts, but let's be honest, they really have nothing going for them.
They're one of the bottom 5 teams in the league without
Exactly.
Andrew Luck.
Their defense isn't good. Their offense is not even any better. So for them to come out and squeak out with a 3-point win over there, I definitely think that Dallas is just going to run all over them and probably win about 10 to 14 points on that one.
And that's a possibility, but I just think at home, if you give Carson Palmer time, I think they had an extra week to figure it out without David Johnson and readjust their game plan. Bruce Arians. Also, Steven, the way that Denver locked down Dez Bryant, which really put a lag or a stall, if you will, in Dallas's potent offense. That didn't help the running game as well. And, I mean, you got Pat Pete and the Honey Badger there. Those are great defenders in the secondary for Arizona. They are at home. So I see Dez Bryant struggling once again. And, well, we agree to disagree. It should be a good game. But, I have Arizona pulling ahead on this one.
Yeah, and I can totally understand what you're saying from it. I just think that when Denver had like some lockdown corners. I just think their linebackers and their front four again just kind of really put a lot of pressure on Dallas, and I don't see that with Arizona with their defensive line and some of their linebackers. I think that Brian may get locked up, but Jason Witten had a big game last week as well, so I think he's going to be there, and Ezekiel's going to run the ball, and I think that's going to help Dez Bryant open up a little bit, and some of the other receivers as well. So
right,
it's going to be a good
targeted
game.
a lot then, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what happens. So
I would rather have Dallas win. I'd rather see Dallas in the playoffs, as I just think they're a more exciting team, and I just like good football.
I don't know if I'll go that far about seeing them in the playoffs.
I mean, over Arizona, I don't think so, but I mean, I'd rather them win. I see them doing more damage than Arizona would. Arizona, I don't know, they seem to falter.
Absolutely. So another game we have
what else we got this week 3?
We have another, I think 1-1. Both teams are 1-1, and that's the Seattle Seahawks versus the Tennessee Titans.
That's right, Mariota at home against those Hawks.
I definitely think this is going to be a good game. It's really a toss-up for me just because Seattle has a great defense. Titans have a great defense as well. But I'm going to go with the Titans. I'm going to cheer for Mariota, and hopefully they can get a win. I definitely think it's going to probably be a field goal game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. It probably end up being 10-7. The Titans winning the game over the Seahawks.
It's easy to pick the Titans as a winner in this one. They're home, third game of the season. Mariota's looked good so far, and Russell Wilson and that Seattle offense have really struggled. The defense is getting tired of bailing them out. They've really, really struggled against San Francisco. I believe they only put up 12 points. Division game, I know, but San Francisco does not have the talent to hang with a championship caliber team like the Seahawks, if the Seahawks are indeed a championship caliber team. So, gosh, I don't know. It's a close game, but I think I'm gonna have to agree with you, Steven. I think Tennessee pulls it out. I think they run the ball. I think Mariota makes timely and key throws if he can protect the ball and control the clock. I think they pick up the W at home against a struggling Seattle. Offensively, defense looks good now.
Yeah.
Legion of Boom.
Yeah,
Still
exactly.
doing your thing, fellas.
And I still think the Seahawks, that's what's going to keep it a low-scoring game and keep everyone in it. I just think maybe in offense there might be a certain pick or a fumble, and I think that's when the Titans are going to score that touchdown.
Key big play in the game.
Exactly.
Change the whole momentum.
Exactly. But I think it's going to be a game of field advantage, how the punter goes and just trying to work the field to try to get the best situation for their offense and their defense.
All right.